Red Hat. We're going to be talking about a project that we've all been working on together for a while, Java by Red Hat on Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to just go ahead and turn it over to Mohit and Nick, and they're going to tell us about the sort of the history of the project here.
Hey, hello everyone. I'm Mohit, and I'll just start discussing around this demo deep dive session what we have today. So quickly start with the screen share. Just let me know if you guys see any.
No, I think I can see Roland's screen, but I can't see yours. Let me turn off. Can you share in right now? There it is. And we're good.
Yep, I think it should be there now.
Yep. And you're not in presentation mode. There you are. Now we're presenting full screen. Thank you.
Okay, awesome.
Good.
Yep, I think it should be there now.
Yep. And you're not in presentation mode. There you are. Now we're presenting full screen. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So just a quick thing. I think I hear my echo.
Yeah, I'm hearing a little bit echo as well.
Yeah, does someone have YouTube on in the background?
So just a quick thing. I think I hear my echo.
Yeah, I'm hearing a little bit echo as well.
Yeah, does someone have YouTube on in the background? Let me see if I mute Nick. Nope, still hear it. Echo. Got Mohit muted. Mohit's back up. Okay, I think the echo's gone.
Okay.
So sorry about that, everyone.
Yeah. Sorry for the glitch, guys. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning from wherever you are joining us. And today, the demo, what we want to have is the one with the VS Code Java. This is mostly around demonstrating what we have done in the past few years around the VS Code Java extension, making the life of the developers around Java the experience more easy, more fruitful, and making it more awesome. So this is 1.0 release, and with us today we have Nick, who is a senior product manager at Microsoft, Roland, who is a principal software engineer from Red Hat, and Rory, who is a senior cloud advocate from Microsoft, and myself, Mohit, I'm the product manager and developer experience at Red Hat. So we are going to go through some of the slides, just giving a brief introduction, what we want to do, how we have achieved this milestone, what are the features, what we have for the extension, and then we'll quickly jump on to a very awesome demo prepared by Roland with respect to the VS Code Java features. And then we'll hand over to Rory Preddy, who is just going to showcase how we work with the language server protocol and other cool features associated with it. So I'll quickly jump on to the first slide I have. Giving a brief introduction of Java language server. I'll start with how it started. This was something around 5 years back in May 2016. The idea was to implement a language server protocol based on the LSP what we have for Eclipse IDE. That's a full-blown Java IDE. We already have that in the Eclipse support. We wanted to give the same performance and features for the Visual Studio Code users. Recently, we have seen from the Stack Overflow survey that VS Code is one of the most used IDEs, and developers really like it. And so we wanted to target the Java developers who are using VS Code to make it more awesome and useful for them, having whatever new features we want to roll out. So slowly, we started building on top of it. And this started with a collaboration between Red Hat and Microsoft. And there were other community members starting from CodeNV and IBM who worked together. And we officially had a first release of language support for Java for VS Code around 2016 August. And that's what we started. It currently has the highest number of downloads for the extension supported by Red Hat. It's approximately around 12.8 million downloads, and people are very excited to use it. Last month, we had official 1.0 release. By 1.0, we mean that whatever features we thought should be there to support a proper developer experience for users is there. We wanted to make VS Code and Java workflow to be fun as very much useful. And if you see in the last 3 weeks of the release of 1.0, the extension has approximately seen up more than 2 million installs, which means the extension is very much loved by the developer community. They are trying to use it. They are having feedback around it, and there's a very strong community developed. And definitely 1.0 is not the end game. The development still continues. We are continuously adding more features. There's a very strong collaboration between Red Hat and Microsoft, and that will be showcased today in the demo. It's also, and I'll just pass on to the next one. So this slide basically is a brief technical understanding what exactly is JDT language server. By this, I mean, this is a specific language implementation of LSP protocol that can be used by any editor that supports this protocol. And we have tried to implement this on the VS Code scenario so that we have a very good support for the language. There are multiple scenarios with the server supports. It starts with Eclipse LSP4j, which is needed for the Java binding for the LSP protocol. The other one is there are multiple scenarios of covering code completion, references, diagnostics, which is directly done by the Eclipse JDT. The source code is on GitHub, and I think Rory is going to focus more on that. So we'll see those slides in the next demo coming forward. We also have a support for Maven, Gradle, Kotlin, and other stuffs. And these are some of the build shape and M2 Eclipse, which are helpful for us to support those scenarios. So this was just a brief that how the language server is, a basic understanding. But I think once we deep dive in the demos, we'll have more understanding that how it works and how we try to incorporate this in the VS Code Java extension we have. Moving forward, I'll pass on to Nick just to help us that how the ecosystem of the Java and Visual Studio Code is currently and what's the future roadmap. Pass on to you, Nick.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mohit. Thanks for that brief background history on the VS Code Java. So the Java support on VS Code has gone through many iterations since the initial release of the Java language server. Now our Java language extension pack basically offers all the essential features you would expect to see in a traditional Java IDE. So the backbone of our Java extension is the language server, which is the main topic of our talk. This ensures that we deliver all the fundamental experience, including code completion, navigation, refactoring, and provides the foundation for our debugger, test runner, and project manager extensions. We will continue to make this a big focus of our product, as the fundamental dev experience has a huge impact on developers' daily work routine with Java projects. In addition, we realized that the build tools is a big part of the Java dev experience. So now we have supported both Maven and Gradle on VS Code Java. This includes basic Maven and Gradle project import, project creation from scratch, customer goals and tasks, and so on. So in the next few quarters, we're working on providing more Maven experience, expanding our features to Gradle. So thanks to the nature of VS Code and language server, the frameworks we support for VS Code Java are extensible and flexible. We have support for Spring Framework, Quarkus, and so on. Those frameworks support are in the form of extensions, and developers can choose to install the extensions they're interested in. Last but not least, Visual Studio Code also offers IntelliCode feature, which can improve developers' productivity by recommending code blocks based on AI suggestions. So there are lots of other features, but we're not going to list every single detail. So if you're interested in getting the latest products on the VS Code Java, please visit the official developer blog from both Microsoft and Red Hat, and the links are on the lower left corner. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So going forward, we have planned many items for the Java language server on VS Code. Code completion experience is one of our top focus, and we plan to provide smarter and faster code completion. We will also look into more convenient code actions and refactoring operations. In addition, we want to make it easier to configure compiler errors, warnings, and code formatting options. Also, we would like to continue improving the overall performance and reliability of the Java language server. So for those who are new to VS Code in Java, we target to provide a better getting started experience, including embedded JDK in the extension. lastly, we hope to deliver a better Kotlin experience in the future as well. So again, you can visit those 2 blog links to get our latest updates. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, thanks. So before we start the demos, I just want to quickly mention the central piece where all the magic is happening. I believe by now many developers are already familiar with the Visual Studio Code, which we usually just call VS Code. It's a lightweight code editor by nature, but also contains some of the important IDE features. So being highly customizable and extensible, VS Code is designed to integrate with the developer's existing toolchains. And currently, there are over 34K extensions on the marketplace. In addition, VS Code is developed in an open source code base and released as a service to developers. So the VS Code community has been growing tremendously fast over the last few years. And now we have over 90 million active developers using VS Code for their projects. So together with Microsoft and Red Hat, we will continue to ship many, many new features for Java support on VS Code. Yeah, so next I'm going to hand back to Mohit to introduce our demo part.
Yeah,
Yep,
thanks,
Mohit,
Nick.
yeah.
Okay. So, guys, I think it's the time for us to deep dive into the demo. Before starting with the demo, I just want to brief you about that what exactly we are going to cover. So this will have a short overview of what VS Code Java brings to the table, how the extension is, how we can download it from the VS Code marketplace, and support of Java 17, Gradle, Kotlin, and how it's easier for us to see the performance improvements, what we have done in all the releases we have done till date, and what are the future roadmaps, what we have planned in the coming months. So these are some of the briefs which we have for the extension, and I'll pass on to Roland to take us through this journey. So Roland,
Thank
over
you very
to you.
much. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
All
Show us
right,
what you
sounds
got.
good. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to Mohit and Nick for that very comprehensive introduction to the various features. I just add that in some of the future plans, that slide, you can think of it as things that are very much coming very soon. There's a lot of things in there that we're not just thinking about or planning on. They're going to hit the release, the next release very soon. So I'm really happy with what we've got there, and a lot of the interactions we've had with Microsoft and getting some of these awesome things in there. So with that out of the way, let's just get to the demo stuff. So I'll minimize this screen, and I'm hoping you can see a VS Code editor open. So just give me a awesome.
Looks good.
So from what you can see here, I've got VS Code Java. I think one of the things that Nick touched upon is that, again, this is an ecosystem. So it's not just VS Code Java. It's, the test runner, the debugging extension, project management. There's a lot of stuff that's built on top of VS Code Java. And I think that's one of the other things that makes this ecosystem really nice. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to open up a project. So I'll go to open folder here. Again, you can do a lot of these things through hotkeys, but I just like to show it very nicely for this demo. So I'll just open this one up called JSON example. So essentially what this is, it's an unmanaged project. And what that means is it's not a Maven project. It's not a Gradle project. It's simply a folder that has Java source files. So it's very straightforward and very easy to get started with a really, really basic project. I'll just click on the main class here, and you can automatically see at the bottom right, I hope that there's a spinning little icon indicating that the language server has already started up and is loading the project. So it's really, really easy to get set up. That's, I think, one of the strong points here. You don't sort of have to trick the language server or the extension into kind of importing your project in a certain way. You don't need specific metadata files. You can start off with literally a folder in Java sources and you're good to go. One of the things you can probably see here is that you see Java SE17 as a little notification. So this is to indicate that on the system, the extensions found a version of Java. And in this particular case, it's using Java 17 for this. And you can sort of see that I have certain source files here that are, using language features from Java 17. Let me just confirm something. So I guess one of the things I should probably mention is that you don't have to be using Java 17. You can use whatever version of Java you want. And it's a point sometimes I don't mention, sometimes I will mention, but actually, let me just figure this out. Java configuration runtime. So I just clicked on the Java SE17 little notification down there. And if I just click this setting, Java configuration.runtimes, you can see that I can switch from the default of Java 17. I can switch it to Java 1.8. And if I save, you should probably see a bunch of errors because naturally I'm using some features that are above Java 8. So I'll just switch this back. But it's just a point I feel is worth mentioning. Regardless of what runtime we're using for our own tooling, you can use whatever Java version you want. All right. So with that out of the way, I think, let's open up a new Java source file and let's try and play around with this. So I'll just click on this sub package here. I'll right click. I'll go to new file. And essentially, this is a project that's just sort of, listing out certain kinds of items that are available probably in a store. So let's create one called decor.java. And you can see instantly that you get some basic boilerplate code. So it's very easy to start developing something that is meaningful. You get the standard boilerplate stuff, you get your license header. Of course, for the license header, you just need to go to settings, and it's a setting called file header. You just edit that setting, and it's just a set of lines that it'll be inserting into the actual source file. So there's settings to generally do most things, and really easy to get started. Okay, so we have this. Let's add this class to this other item class I have. So I have item.java here. It's actually a field class. So the idea behind the field class is in this particular case, essentially, I permit only certain classes to extend it. And in this way, these classes are sort of, it's almost like you can think of an enumeration where only these particular instances can extend this one. So let's add my class to it. So another way we could kind of look this up is we could go into the main source file, and let's just quickly right click on item. Whoops. Right click on item. We'll go to peek. Or actually, let's just go to show type hierarchy. So this is another relatively recent feature that we have. So we can instantly show the type hierarchy for a particular type. So we can click on individual entries and just browse them as you sort of expect and get an idea of what it looks like. So in our case, let's extend this. We'll make this extend. Should be getting some errors here, but in particular, we'll get an error on item, I believe. I don't see that. Okay, so we'll add decor here as another class that is permitted. And I think we just have to decide to make decor final here. Another way we could have done this very easily is just within item, we could have just gone to decor, right click, and go to peek definition. So maybe it's a little convenient sometimes to just keep the context on a particular class and manipulate it this way. So this is also a possibility. Okay, so now we've added decor here. So let's go back to item. Whoops, actually, I want to go back to main. So what you can see happened here is we have an error, and the reasoning for this is because the static analysis, at least my understanding of it, is it has detected that our sealed class and our case statement doesn't cover every possible case now. It did before, but it doesn't now. So what we need to do is add a case for decor. We can just type this out. Decor, yes. Now, one of the things I just realized is we actually haven't written any methods or fields for decor. So let's do that. We'll just right click is giving me a little trouble. So we'll go into decor and we'll just, create, I guess we can call it the type or something like that, or room type, let's say. And maybe another one. Let's just leave it as one. So let's say we want to generate some getters and setters for this. There's a bunch of different ways we can do this. We can do it directly from the field, so we can create getter and setter like that. We can do it from the type declaration itself by just hitting generate getters and setters. And additionally, we can actually do it while we're typing. So I have room type here, but I can actually type get room type, which doesn't exist, but it's just a completion that automatically generates the methods for them. So again, we do have relatively convenient ways of getting your code up and running, getting boilerplate code out there. And there's multiple ways sometimes of doing one thing. It just comes to what your preference is. So let's add a label here. Oops. Get label. Right. And you can see that the error has actually disappeared because now we're using a switch expression with pattern matching, and we're essentially spanning every possible class that item could implement. Another thing kind of just worth showing off, generally speaking, when maybe we have a particular type in mind and we're just typing it out. Let's do it this way. We're actually going to this. We have issues where it comes to resolving those types. So one of the nice things, semicolon. So essentially what I just did there, I just hit save and the types were automatically imported. The way to go about this, again, it's a setting. You go to File Preferences, Settings. It's Organize Imports. And you can just enable organizing the imports on save. If you want it to be even more fancy, you could make it so that the actual save event itself happens at a fixed interval. And just a really convenient way to quickly get your imports in without having too much fuss about going up to the top of the file or anything like that. Okay, just making sure. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, good.
All right, perfect. Okay, so yeah, just really, really convenient to get things going and have things working. So with that out of the way, another thing I can also show off is we're always looking to improve just the kind of convenient fixes we have, particularly as new language features come along. As an example, you can convert certain types to var, things like that. So it's in terms of completions and quick fixes, our goal is definitely to make it easier for developers as well to support and be aware of the latest features. And we're always working to hopefully make that a little easier. So now let's shift over to dependencies, things like that. So when you have a basic project like this, it's really straightforward to get your dependencies. Usually it's you just put them in a lib folder. This is configurable. So let me just quickly show that. I can go to File, Preferences, Settings. and I believe it's called, actually, let me go into the workspace settings as opposed to user settings. It's called, what is it? Java project reference libraries. So in this way, I can just complete this, and you can see this is the default value, which is essentially any jar under the lib folder. But what you can also do for some more advanced usage is you can list specifically each jar to include, even excludes, and you can also have a mapping between each particular library and the corresponding sources. So there's a lot of advanced capabilities in the event that you do want to take a very simple project and kind of beef it up and have it be a little more advanced and support more complicated use cases. So we can do both. In this particular case, even our unmanaged projects have support for resolving source files. So if I just click on GSON here, again, we're taken directly to the sources for this. Again, you see the comments. And the way this is essentially done is as long as you're using a library originating from Maven Central, we just get at that metadata and we can get the corresponding source file for that. It's also fairly responsive in the sense that, let's say I want to just add another library, Guava. Hopefully you can see the terminal here, so I will expand it just a little bit. I'll just move Guava into the lib folder. And you should be able to see that, yeah, I instantly have access to the sources. Oh, sorry, I have access to the library. And I have access to the sources as well. So it's really, it starts off as a very basic project, but there's a lot of support for more advanced usages, just based on what users have requested and wanted. I don't really have anything else I would mention unless someone has anything in particular they would want me to look at. I will say that in particular for future releases, we are improving support for Maven and Gradle projects. One of the things that our users were not huge fans of was that when you do import that project, there are metadata files that are generated as part of that process. And they were definitely not happy with seeing those in their project. So we have a solution now where those files will not be generated in the user's actual project. And
I really enjoyed just checking those into Git and checking them out and then destroying them and then deleting them. No, I didn't. I'm so glad that you've actually added that.
Yeah, for sure. It was a little interesting because from my point of view, it sort of felt like, you know, the project has many dot files and hidden files. So, you know, what's another two? But if people don't want it, there are ways to, you know, give that. Additionally, for certain quick fixes or certain errors, we've made it so it's a little more easy to actually discover them. So from going forward, you won't have to be on the diagnostic itself or on the squiggly line. You'll be able to do it from anywhere on the line. There's some cases for better handling of out of memory issues. So detecting when the language server runs out of memory and giving the user options to recover from that a little more elegantly. Handling the actual cleaning of workspace metadata. So as you can imagine, if you have a large project with many libraries, we do a bit of indexing to make it easier to look things up. Those indices can grow. So we're slowly getting towards reducing the size of that workspace metadata, just because, you know, if you open new projects all the time, it can get rather large. More quick fixes, quick assists based on, you know, new language features. And yeah, I think also as well, better support in terms of out of the box. So if your system doesn't have Java installed, we'll have a solution where once you have the V6 extension installed, you'll be able to work off of a version that's provided. Yeah, that's essentially my demo. If you have any questions or want to see me break this in a particular way or have a burning desire to see something, I'm happy to show, but otherwise I'll hand it off to Rory.
Great, thank you so much. And yeah, folks, if you've got anything you want us bring rolling back on and break, just leave a message in the comments under this video. We'll get in touch. And with that, I will turn it over to Rory, who's got a ton of passion about this project and loves free tooling.
Yeah, so I started my journey with Microsoft about 10 years ago with the Java language server, because at the time I needed to find a nice way to, teach Java to a lot of developers. And at the time it was only expensive IDEs or very heavyweight IDEs. So when the Java language server came, I was fascinated with it. And I did a lot of talks around it, and Microsoft noticed me speaking on that. And it's one of the reasons why I joined them and they approached me is the language server. So I go all the way back, and it means very dear to me. So I've got a really nice demo I'm going to show today. I'm going to go back into it. I'm going to get really geeky on how it works. And I'm going to showcase the Red Hat language server and how it works with the language server protocol. So I should have shared my screen. And Matt, if you can bring it in there. Okay, so this is how under the hood. And, my wife says to me, there's a sound in my car. It's going duck, 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 duck. And it's been like that for a month. I go, oh my gosh, no, you didn't. So I always like to know what's going on underneath the hood. And this is what's going on underneath the hood. So you can see here's your development tool. And I've got my little mouse laser there. Here's your development tool. And this is the language server protocol, which uses JSON RPC. Now, this site here is the microsoft.github.com/language-server-protocol. And it's something that Microsoft co-engineered, and it's a definition using JSON RPC to speak from your development tool to a language server. So all the way back, Microsoft needed a remote tooling interface for their Monaco web editor. Now, Monaco eventually came Visual Studio Code and also GitHub Codespaces. And the Visual Studio language server protocol was baked in there, and it allowed people then to go, okay, user opens document or edits the documents, and then JSON will be sent through to the language server, and then notifications will be sent back to give them some indication around what they need to do. Now, you might be thinking, wait a second, why does this do it? And the reason for that is because there's something called the matrix of complexity. Now, the matrix of complexity says, and that's my next little slide here. Sorry, there we go. The matrix of complexity says that if I want to speak to an HTML language server and also a PHP language server, I can actually do it in the same window. If I want to speak to a Java or a C#, I can do it in the same window. I also don't need different tools. Like if you want to use C#, prior to this, you used Visual Studio. If you wanted to use Java, you used IntelliJ. Now, with the language server, you can use both at the same time because the language server itself sits out of process, running away from your IDE. It is not literally in your IDE, and it talks to your IDE via JSON. So your IDE just needs to speak JSON, and it can do all of those things that a full-fledged IDE does, which means that Atom, Vim, Emacs, Eclipse, VS Code, all of these things can speak to language server, and it's becoming the de facto basics for IDEs to speak in a language server, because it gives them the ability to take that matrix of complexity and make it much easier. So this is, it's a big thunderstorm over here. This is code.visualstudio.com/API/language-extensions. And all of these links will be up after the session. So this is going and showing the language server extensions. Now I want to show you exactly how it works. So first I want to show you a nice little example with the LSM samples. So you can go to Microsoft.com on GitHub.com and then go to VS Code-extension-samples. And there's a lot of samples here on how to get started with Visual Studio Code. There's code actions, there's code lens, the configuration changes. So I want to show you the LSM example. And in this there, we've got a client folder, which is the client that is going to be calling the server, which is your language server, and getting all of that lovely JSON back. And then you've got the server there, which is going to be passing and sending it back. So in our example, we're just going to use a text-based language server because I don't want to show you the full Java language server until a little bit later in my demo. So let's go through and see exactly what we've got. So here's our LSM example. And in our LSM example, we've got a client, and the client really just starts up a Visual Studio Code instance and then lets you type into plain text. The server then will go in and pass the instructions and then return back via JSON all of the instructions that you can actually do. And then the client will say, oh, I can do this and that. I'm going to go and tell the user. So the two examples that we've got here is on completion, and it's going to say when you type in there, it's going to give IntelliSense to say, if you do TYP for TypeScript, then it's going to complete that word and completion item.kind. It's also going to complete JavaScript, the word. And then if you type something in uppercase or lowercase, it is going to actually go in and give you some documentation for that uppercase or lowercase. So how do I start this? So first of all, on my terminal, I've already kind of compiled everything. So you need to do an npm install, and all of this is available in the readme.md. So you need to do an npm install, and then you need to compile the client and server, which I've already done. And then after that, you're just going to launch the client. And the minute the client launches up, it's going to create a server instance for you. I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to go launch client. And it's going to launch a client in another window, like you saw there. And now I've got a little text editor there. You can see there, I've got a little text editor, untitled.txt. And I am going to go in and type some JavaScript. It didn't like that. Let's go, don't save. Let's go open folder, and let's create a new folder there. So we're going to create a new folder here, and I'm going to call that Matt oh, it's already taken, Matt, RPZA. And we're going to go open here, and we're going to go in and create a little text file. So new file here, and we're going to call that, let's go new file and test.txt. There we go, plain text. Cool. Now, if we got the Java, there we go. So the language server now, as soon as I go Java, you can see at the bottom there, and GitHub Copilot, I've switched it off. But the plain text language server that we defined when we compiled it is actually running. And now it's going to go, cool, you want to compile, you want to finish up there, I can just finish up JavaScript, I can finish up TypeScript, it's going to give me those options there. And I can also, if I right-click over TypeScript there, and I look at, if I go into JavaScript, you can see there, I've got the JavaScript documentation. So that's how the language server works. At the same time, it's sending back JSON as I type in, as I'm doing that. And it does that en masse for the Java language server. So that's the one demo that I'm going to show you. And just let's stop our language server there. And that's going to stop the client also. And we can actually close that. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how the language server works. Now, the language server goes on steroids. So you can see here, this is the VS Code. Let's go into here. And this is the actual language server. So you can go to Red Hat-developer VS Code-Java. It's a big project. And it's got a lot of those little formatters and tools there to actually get it working. So in this example, let's just close here. And I want to close that there. In this example here, I've got my source action. So you know, like when you go getters and setters. So there's a source action here, and you can see there that I can get my custom assessor items, assessor.map, and then it's going to get the getters and setters based on those field descriptions. And it's got all of the kind of tasks that you would expect for your Java language server here. So it's got it in the actual command. So if you go into commands, it's going to go into all of those. No, that's the wrong thing here. I want to go, and there's the build path, document symbols, extensions, paste action, and let's go get a nice juicy one here. Refactor actions. There we go. So when you refactor, you can go assign variable, extract constant, extract field, and these are JSON protocols, little snippets that we're going to send back. Now I'm going to switch this on, and I'm going to use a project for my demo called the Spring Pet Clinic. It's a very easy project there, and it's maintained by one of our partners, Pivotal. And I've opened this up now, and this Spring Pet Clinic project is, let's go back into here. So I'm going to go code, open in GitHub code spaces. Sorry, not code spaces, and then go open in Visual Studio Code. There it is. And okay, let me just open this here. open recent, and I'm going to go Pet Clinic. There we go. Here's the Pet Clinic here. Now, if I open up the Pet Clinic, you'll notice that the first thing it's going to do, it's going to go open a Java project. It's going to start the Java language server. So it's a little process running in, compiled JavaScript running in Electron, because, everything that we see here is actually JavaScript. And it's going to go then compile, and it's going to wait for events from my IDE to send through to the language server, and then the language server is going to send back. So one of those events then obviously is going to be the refactor. So you can go refactor here. You don't see it here, but it's sending all of that information to give me all of those fields that I can access: extract a field, extract a method, extract a local variable. So wouldn't it be great to actually switch that on and see exactly what it's sending? So there is a way to switch that on, and you need to set verbose mode on the Java language server protocol. So you can go into your settings. So you've got the Java coding pack installed for Java, just like we showed you earlier. And you can go file, code, preferences, and settings into your settings there. And then you're going to go java.lang. I think that's java.lang. There we go. And I want to find the Java language server there. There we go. Java.trace.server. Now I'm going to switch it on. Understand there's a lot of information I'm about to switch on. So you only do this when you really want to go and debug and play around with it. So I'm going to switch it on, and it gives you messages. So it will tell you every time it sends a message or back. And then there's verbose. I'm going to switch on verbose. So I'm going to switch on verbose, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to go save that there. I don't think I need to save it, but let's just save it just in case. So now everything is verbose. Now I'm going to actually go in and say, whoa, my previous code, I got getters and setters. So let me just clear the output here. So if I right click on run and I go refactor, and I should get, and right at the bottom here, all of the JSON. Look at that. Look how much there. All of the JSON there, it says, okay, cool. You've got range. You can start there on the text document, refactor move. So the move button then will go in and highlight the start range of 31. So that's 31. Let's just see here. Yeah, 31. And 31 is going to go to line 31, which is there. Character 22 to 22. So that's where you're going to actually move the class though. So 31, so that's the main method there. So it's going to actually go in that example there, it's going to move the main method. So you can see there, arguments, move static member, and it's saying to me that that's where it's going to go. So you can see that it's even instructing exactly where the actual IDE needs to go in and move what method and where it's going to go and move it though. So if I right click there and go refactor, and I can go inline method or move, it's going to say, where do you want to actually move this to? And all of that examples is already given to me in the JSON. You can see how incredibly verbose it is now around that there. So change modifiers to final, and that really is the language server. And at the same time, if you go into your task manager here, so if I go into the activity viewer here, and let me see if I can get this here. So you can view it there. Have you ever wondered why there's an extra process view when you actually start that up there? Wait, where are you now? There we go. Okay, so let's go find our process view. I think that the restream doesn't like it though. But when you actually start up, let's go quit there and let's start that up again. There we go. And when you start this up and you go into your process name, you can actually find the Java language server. And if you go here and I'm going to type in Java, so there's my Java language. You can see that there's two processes. There's Java there, and then there's another Java process there. One of those is actually the language server. So you've got the process of the IDE running and getting ready for Java, but you've also got another Java process server that sits out there that runs all of that. It compiles your code, it does refactoring, it does so much more that you don't understand there. And this is what happens when you have multiple Java language servers. You can have a C# one, an HTML one, all running at the same time, and I can actually prove it to you. So in this project here, I've got no, I want to go back there and I want to go to the Pet Clinic. Let's go here and we're going to go Spring Pet Clinic. So remember Spring Pet Clinic is here, right? I've got the Java language server running right now, but then I go into the readme.md and it's going to start up. You can see the activating extension. Now I'm in Markdown. That's a language server. the language server running there, but I didn't have to have a different IDE. It just created a language server on the side for me to do it, and it's doing the exact same thing. So every time I go into the Markdown here, it's going to send JSON through, and you don't even notice that. And that's the power, and that's really why I saw all those years ago, 10 years ago, the power of the language server. And slowly but surely, all the IDEs are migrating to that language server. And that's everything I wanted to show you. I think I'm on time. And thanks again, Red Hat, for creating such an incredible technology.
Thanks so much. That was, you love your power. But these are great tools that definitely make the developer experience better. I'm going to put up a couple more links here right at the end. We've got there's the Microsoft blog where you can learn more about this, and then we'll put up the link to the Red Hat blog as well. And we'll put all the links that we've shared down below. And if you've got any questions, as always, feel free to just either leave a comment here on, did I show that one? Okay, making sure I've got my links coming up correctly there. Leave a comment here on YouTube, or else just send mail to msusdev@microsoft.com, and we'll get you in touch with the experts and get your questions answered. And again, thanks so much to everyone.
So we might also want to show did we show the Red Hat repo, the VS Code Java repo at the end?
The VS Code Java repo, yes. I'll put that up one more time.
Yeah.
So just so everyone's got it here.
Yep.
That's the one, right?
Yep, that's right.
Go grab the stuff and play and file issues, make it better. And thanks to the community for this great experience.
Yeah,
thanks. Cool. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Yep.
Cheers,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.